Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn, and today I have got a sneak preview of this year's 2014's variants of Bourbon County, as well as the base beer, one that, as viewers of this podcast know, I have a special place in my heart for. I think that it is still, or has still, up until now, been my absolute favorite. There have been certain blind tastings that have differed from that, but others that have supported it. So I just feel like it's a truly world-class beer that just holds a special place in my heart. And I thank Goose Island, Andrew at Goose Island, for dropping off these beers so I can not only taste them and see what they're like, but also, kind of communicate that outwards to you guys, and also share them today in the store, ahead of time. That's kind of fun. That makes me happy to be able to do that for people. I'm not going to go too much into the story of Bourbon County. There's multiple episodes where I've talked about it before, and if you're at all interested in hearing about it, please check those out. I want to just kind of get into it. I am excited. So, Bourbon County from Goose Island, I mean, with the some of the changes that have happened at that brewery, they've got so much more space. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this year, but certainly next year they have this massive barrel room. If possible, I'll try to link to a video that I saw of somebody, I don't know if they want to remain nameless or not, riding a bike through this new barrel room with a GoPro strapped to their bike, and or their head, I think it actually is, and it's like 100,000 square feet. It's just massive. It's 3 or 4 times bigger than, what I would consider to be a big regional brewery. And that's just to hold their barrels. So we're going to see, I believe, a tidal wave of big, dark bourbon barrel-aged stouts coming in the next year or two from the guys at Goose Island. But here we go. It's the 2014 beer. I'm realizing I don't have a dump bucket. Whoops. 13.8% alcohol. Now it says the original bourbon barrel-aged stout since 1992. As you can see, it pours quite dark. Not much of a head there. Both of those things are pretty typical for the beer. Some highlights at the edges. Beautiful clarity. A lot of chocolate and fudge right off the bat this year, with some whiskey note, and I don't mean some of those oaky vanilla flavors you associate with whiskey, but the spirit itself I'm getting in it. Some cherry, some dark cherry. Coconut, certainly as well. But I'd say there's a little bit more fudge and fruit than I seem to notice in the past. Man, chocolate and fudge all day with that bourbon burn. Wherever you are, I'm hanging up on you. Yeah, definitely some heat. Interesting. I really do like this kind of cherry chocolate covered fudge dipped cherry thing that I'm getting this year. Solid beer, really a nice one. Very interested in trying the Bourbon County coffee this year. It's with Ziricana coffee. According to Andrew at Goose Island, it's a much more fruit-forward coffee bean this year than they've used in the past. So it has a more distinct flavor, and it sets itself apart from other previous versions, vintages of the coffee. Looks identical. I'm sure they're all going to look identical. If something changes, I'll let you know. Certainly a ground coffee thing. I'm not getting that same mocha of that first year that they ever did it. That was just like a magical beer to me. Check the time. I'm all good. I'm getting a little bit of a green flavor. Looking at a transcribed, I shouldn't even be looking at it now, some sort of ridiculously transcribed thing about Texas Rangers or something. It was a voicemail that obviously didn't get transcribed properly. I mean, I'm getting the cherry still. The coffee isn't overwhelming. It is very fruity. I was getting, you know, it's got a brighter fruit than this kind of dark cherry, chocolate-covered cherry. It's got like this bright, more fruity, ripe red cherry thing. Brighter this year. Not as traditionally coffee, and I know I said that opening before I even opened it, and maybe, you know, that's kind of, you know, getting to me psychologically, yeah, it doesn't have that big massive mocha vanilla chocolate ice cream thing that I've gotten from coffee in the past. Rather than Bourbon County coffee. I should probably do it this way. Yeah, interesting. Solid beer. Not my favorite coffee ever from Bourbon County, I will say that. Oops. Okay. Now, vanilla rye. They, Goose Island did a version of vanilla several years ago, 2011 perhaps, and maybe even 2010, and it became pretty highly sought after and beloved. People still are clamoring for those bottles of vanilla, and I remember at the time, you know, some brewers saying they'd never make it again. Well, it happened. They changed it up a little bit. They put it in rye barrels this year, so let's give it a try. If possible, even less head than before, and there is some kind of floaties in this one too, some like oily floaties. Or like a film, like little bits of something. Okay, so this one I'm getting like wood and leather and vanilla. I'm getting like, you know, this is so lame, but this is what kind of popped into my mind, was some sort of like dark gentleman, you know, rich gentleman's like hunting quarters or something like that, by a fire, sitting in a nice kind of well-oiled leather chair. Very manly smelling beer. Very rich vanilla chocolate note, almost like this like perfumed vanilla note to it, going along with a hint of like spicy must in there as well. Not like a mushroomy or a earthy must, just some sort of like, I don't know, like an old place that's been filled with, you know, wood fire and leather for a long time. Wonderful mouthfeel. I'm feeling the carbonation in this one a little bit more. I don't know why. Certainly not a ton of carbonation, but it kind of prickled up on my tongue a bit. And like, I love how that base fruitiness from this one plays with the vanilla. I'm getting this like almost cotton candy, you know, this vanilla and cherry thing. I'm gonna go cotton candy, you know, and not that it tastes like cotton candy, but that element reminds me of cotton candy. That fruitiness from the base beer combined with the vanilla has this cotton candy, something that reminds me of it. You know, maybe cotton candy on the boardwalk, because out in Jersey, where you have that wood there as well. And I think what I'm getting at is when a beer evokes so many memories and so many things in you, that's a really good sign. And I would certainly be happy to drink this beer at any point. So really cool, very fun. Don't get to try that too often. That last time I just took the tiny little last sip, I got some more of that peppery quality too, like a cracked black pepper. Cool, changing a bit. All right, Proprietors. This is what was the Chicago only coconut last year, and this year they kind of did, well, they would hate if I said this, they're Abraxas style, that spiced stout that we've done in the past several times here, but it's just reading it from their label, stout aged in rye whiskey barrels again, so it's not bourbon, it's a rye, with cassia bark, which is kind of like a cinnamon, cacao nibs, panela, which is like a dark sugar, basically, and coconut water. And basically, what I've heard they did is take, you know, I'll call it cinnamon, cacao nibs, and sugar, and made a simple syrup out of it with the coconut water, and then added it back into the base beer. So. Look at that, pours like oil. All right, let's get this back on. A little bit of that same oiliness here. Carbonation coming up just a hint more, tiny, tiny little prickles of carbonation, but certainly the most foam on here. You could probably even see it kind of going up on the sides a little bit. So the cassia certainly is the most prominent. It is subtle, though. I mean, it's not subtle, but it's not like sometimes when you have like a Christmas beer and it tastes like you're about to, like you're drinking a liquid ginger snap or something like that. It's not like that. It's chocolate, and it's got a Mexican hot chocolate vibe to it, which is, I think, exactly what a lot of those stouts are going for. That a little bit of cinnamon, dark chocolate, a little bit of that Cinnamon Toast Crunch milk aspect to it as well. It's nice. You get a lot of that cinnamon flavor. You don't get any of that heat and that spice to it at all. And that vanilla from the wood really plays well with the chocolate and the cinnamon to make it taste like a Mexican hot chocolate. Certainly not the most subtle of them. Certainly a delicious beer. The delicious factor on this one's very, very high. I don't know if it's the most, you know, elegant beer in the world, but it's certainly delicious. And at the end of the day, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, like this one as well. I think of my favorite of all of them, I'd probably go like this. maybe like that. I don't know. These two are pretty interchangeable. But fun, you know. Worth waiting in line for oh man, I got like a total honeycomb thing that time too. Interesting. It's fun to just kind of like take a smell and then like, okay, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? Whether it's an actual smell or not, maybe it's a color. Kind of a fun, geeky exercise I partake in sometimes. Fun. Well, guys, thank you so much for sitting and watching me taste beers. Is it worth waiting in line at your local liquor store, whatever liquor store that is going to be? That's something you're going to have to come up with, you know? Is it worth waiting hours and hours for a beer? I can't answer that question for you, but if you want to get these, you certainly are going to have to. This one, I'm not as sure, but thank you guys as always. It is a pleasure to drink these beers with you, and I certainly feel like I am doing that. Questions, comments are always very much appreciated. Please, please, please ask away. I had someone asked me the other day about bars in New York, and I gave them a little bit of a hard time, but I did answer the question. At the same time, if I don't get back to you for a day or two, I do get incredibly busy, and I apologize. Believe me, it hurts my heart a little bit when I don't get back to you guys quickly. I'm rambling now, so that means I need to drink another great beer. So I've got some wonderful Bourbon County in my glass, and I don't know, hopefully you will too.